let's just go into it then. I thought John Beaton made an error. I don't think the second yellow card was justified. I think that Cammy Devlin made a genuine attempt to play the ball. The Aberdeen player, forgive me, I can't remember the name that was coming from behind. It's just a foul, right? If it's a foul, even if it is a foul, right, it's just a foul. Not every foul is a yellow card. Not every physical contact is a yellow card. What is Cammy Devlin meant to do there? Now, if I'm a manager and I'm a coach, I'm asking my player to try and clear that ball in a defensive situation. And as a referee, I'm looking at it. Maybe I'm looking at it differently from John Beaton. But at that moment in time, the player's made a genuine attempt to play the ball. He's not had any intent to make undue contact with the player. It's not, for me, it's not a foul, and John Beaton has made an error.
Des, is this not where the weakness of VAR comes in? And that obviously you can't review the yellow cards, but we're talking about an incident here where you've got it's a potentially game-defining decision. It's a second yellow that leads to red. Is there not an argument we said in those circumstances that VAR should be able to intervene there, and at least, as you say, we know the threshold in terms of what clear and obvious is, and a lot of times if decisions are made on the pitch, a lot of times they'll tend to go, if there's a reasonable cause for it, they don't overturn it. But I'm just thinking that in a larger sense here, is there not an argument that said that when we're talking about VAR, that we're talking, especially second yellows, that they should fall under the ability to be reviewed by the VAR team?
And I completely agree with you, because it does have a fundamental impact upon the game, because Hearts are then not even going down to 10 men, they're going down to 9 men at that moment in time. And what's the words that we always hear? Clear and obvious error. Now, if there's a yellow card offence, I understand that under the current laws of the game, a yellow card can't be considered a clear and obvious error. But it is a clear and obvious error, and it should be getting involved. I really think that's an area that has to be looked at. Now, I was always told as a referee, if you're given a second yellow card which results in a red card, everybody in the world has to know it's a second yellow card, and that's why the player is being sent off. That's how you sell the decision, because everybody goes, oh, he's already been yellowed, that's stupid. He's got to go off. See, for that one, I could guarantee amongst the four of us, none of us agree that that's a second yellow card.
So what do you think then, Des? You put yourself in John Beaton's shoes and put us in the mind of a referee, or in John Beaton's mind. Is he doing that to, sometimes referees are accused of wanting to be the star of the show, of, getting overly involved in matches, becoming overly officious. Has he done that purely to grab headlines, to take a player out off the pitch? Is that a thing? Because we hear about it all the time.
Certainly hope not. I used to always say that if I could go up the road, I used to always get called in my old job, I used to get called Mr. Roach 6. And I used to say, what? And the kids used to say to me in school, aye, because you got a 6 in the Sunday Mail at the weekend. Right? And I was happy with that. I'm delighted with that, right? Because that means nobody's talking about me. But if a referee is trying to get himself into the headlines, that is wholly wrong. Wholly wrong. That's not what you're there to do. You're there to do the job. It's like military precision, doesn't it? You would say, Andy, you want to get in, get out, up the road, and nobody knows you.
I really suspect that that's not the case. I kind of know a bit about what John Beaton's been through down the years, some of the things he's had to put up with. I suspect he wants a quiet life the best of the times, and
of course.
I just tend to think it's a genuine mistake. It's one of those ones,
and that's fine. And that's fine. Listen, we all make errors. There's never going to be a game where you don't make an error. Players make numerous errors through games. We'll make errors. Certainly not think that a referee could go into a game thinking I'm going to make a decision to get a headline. If it does, it's very shallow.
Well, credit where it's due to John Beaton. He's the first decision, the first red card. I thought it was spot on, and people were analysing it and debating it. For me, it was a red card. Des?
No, absolutely correct. No problem with that whatsoever. He's the defender has went in there. The sole intention is to stop that promising attack and take the player out. Players get, I know people say it's maybe like 30 yards to run into, but it is
He's
denying an
flying,
obvious goal
Keskinen's
scoring
flying.
opportunity. Yeah, absolutely. So, yep, 100% correct decision.
What about yesterday, Des, in the Celtic game? James Forrest was awarded a penalty late on. I know it didn't have any tangible effect on the outcome, but it was quickly reversed after Callum Scott went to the VR telly.
It wasn't
How
quickly reversed, Daniel.
I was going to say that, aye, sorry. But how did you see it, Des? Did you think it was a penalty?
I've got to admit, at that first viewing, I did think it was a penalty when I seen it, because you can see the imbalance that James Forrest had. On review, I'm quite happy that it was overturned. I don't think there was sufficient enough contact to make that a penalty. I just think that James Forrest has turned left, turned right, and he's moving around as he's done for all his career. So, yeah, I don't think St John's were guilty of a penalty in that moment in time.
Did you agree with that, Keith? I can't even remember yesterday.
I don't think we talked about it. I thought at full speed, I thought it looked soft. I was surprised that they gave the penalty, and the replays, I think, vindicated that. I think they made the right decision. They got there in the end. But this is the problem with VAR, isn't it, Des? You know, Andy's mentioned there about, you know, a yellow card, a second yellow card. Should that go to VAR? Yeah, that I like the idea, Andy. I'm fully with you. The problem that you've got is, when you go to VAR, you don't know if you're going to get the right decision anyway. And Des, let me take you back, rewind the clock to Thursday night in Bilbao. I mean, that goes to VAR. The Dessers penalty claim goes to VAR, doesn't it? And they don't see that it's a penalty kick.
I think that is probably up there with the most appalling decisions that I've seen this year, if not in entirety. I mean, Dessers has got the shirt ripped off him. If you're telling me that there's no contact there, that is the most blatant evidence of contact. It's the most blatant use of a pill, and that's why VAR is there. So I'm really, really shocked that the match officials never took action at that moment in time, because that's as big a penalty as you're ever going to see.
Surely all they need to do at that point, VAR, is just say, come and have a look.
And they did, and the referee still never took it.
That's right. They did. You're right. Annoyingly.
So I mean, else can you say? You can only lead the horse to water, can't you?
Des, can I get your take on one? The other incident at Hampden yesterday was obviously the Mackenzie Cup goal that gets chopped off. I think it's a push on Adam Meader in the build up to it. Now, I might be wrong here. I was obviously at the game yesterday, and the screens we've got at our desk in the press box, obviously you get to see the replays. And for me, the issue with that, and I might be wrong here, there might have been another replay shown, but the ones I saw, it was 3 or 4 replays of the 2 hands in the back to Adamida, and it was shown in slow motion. And I'm sitting going, well, I'm not entirely sure of what force is in this push. And listen, it might well have been a 2-handed shove that knocks him clearly down, but I remember going to a briefing that the SFA offered to the media at the start of last season and raising this point with some of the guys, Crawford Allen, that involved, that a lot of the times you see these replays and they are slowed right down to show you the point of impact, of course, but what you then do when you continually show something at half speed is you lose all the force into it. And I think for me that's crucial, especially in an incident like that one where it's whether or not the push is sufficient enough to knock him over. I'm not sure. Again, I'll hold my hands up if there was a full replay, a full speed replay shown. But I'm just wondering your take on how sometimes the images are presented to the referee when they go over at the side of the pitch, whether or not that is sufficient, whether or not that what they're showing is the true images of each incident.
I think when you look at a still image, Andy, is that you can't tell the force that's put into it. That at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Personally speaking, I think it was a foul. I don't think it was the worst foul I've seen in my life, but there's enough in it for enough in it to be given. But see, when you again, I hate still images because football isn't played in still. Football's played at a fast and ferocious pace. That's how we have to make calls at that moment in time. So when you see it, is it the worst foul? I didn't think it was. How much ferocity and force was behind it? Again, I don't think it was overly harsh, but I think it was enough. And referees, I mean, let's be honest, if any of us were called across, you look at a picture and make a decision, and you can look at that picture 5, 6, 7, 8 frames later, and it might look different. It's a difficult call to make, so I wouldn't be criticising the refereeing team for that.
See, just on going back to Dessers quickly, Des. I mean, you mentioned still images. This one is pretty damning, right? And to clarify, I think we're all in agreement. Certainly think it was a foul and a penalty. But just to play devil's advocate, we had a couple of people commenting saying that the new directive at referees is that he's only pulled the shirt for a split second. He's only kind of caught it. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. You remember, Keith, there was a guy after the game saying that they've been advised that if it's just a quick pull, it's basically not a foul.
Yeah,
Is there anything in that?
I'm not sure where that information was coming from, to be honest with that. When you pull somebody's shirt inside the penalty box, it's a foul, it's a penalty kick, and especially when you rip a big chunk out of it.
Aye,
so
that's fair enough.
Des,
I mean, is there any? Basically, what I'm trying to say is, how can a referee of our team look at that and interpret it in any other way?
They can't. I think it was materially material. I think it was materially wrong. If you're pulling somebody,
so now you're criticising the Custody kit now. The material.
Don't go down that route. I've seen the texts as well. It was it's a penalty kick. The referee and the VAR team have made it an absolute howler on that one.
That for me just makes it VAR even more frustrating. But what's the point in having it if they're just going to ignore it?
And that brings me back, Daniel, my original point, what Andy was saying, but second yellow cards, there's the problem. There's an obvious problem here. If between them, the VAR and the officials still can't arrive at the right decision. And unfortunately, it's happened too often this season.